In 2019, a man slipped and fell to his death on Mount Fuji. Although deaths on Mount Fuji happen every now and then, what made this particular case stand out was that the man was on livestream when the accident occurred. People would later criticize the man for being reckless and underprepared, with some speculating that it might have been intentional. What made this case even more famous was that what seems to be a female voice can be heard, warning the man to turn back, even though he should have been alone on the mountain. Tetsu Shiohara, a 47-year-old man, had been trying for over a decade to become a lawyer, but could never pass the bar exam. Currently unemployed, he had recently recovered from stage 4 cancer, and was now living alone in a one-room apartment somewhere in the corner of Tokyo. Shiohara would often livestream on the popular Japanese video platform Nico Videos. He wasn't a popular streamer by any measure, usually getting only a handful of viewers, but he would often interact with what viewers he got, replying to their comments and having a conversation. On October 23, 2019, one of his viewers mentioned he would like to see the view from Mount Fuji in winter. Shiohara replied to this saying, "Nice idea. During this season Mount Fuji shouldn't be too cold. I think I might go climb it in my spare time." At this time his viewers assumed he was just joking. Mount Fuji, the tallest and most iconic mountain in Japan, is a popular hiking destination in summertime. With an elevation of around 3,800 meters, it isn't too difficult. There are many checkpoints along the main routes, and there will be hundreds of people climbing the mountain with you, making it impossible to get lost, and you will receive assistance immediately if something does go wrong. The hiking route itself is very well maintained as well, allowing you to make the climb with minimal gear. More than 200,000 people, ranging from elementary school children to senior citizens, make this climb every year. Mount Fuji in winter, however, is a totally different beast. Freezing temperatures, harsh winds. Above a certain elevation it will be like scaling a huge sheet of ice, and there will be very few people, if any, to help you if you run into trouble. You will need crampons and ice picks to prevent you from literally sliding off the mountain. Hardcore mountain climbing enthusiasts will climb Mount Fuji in winter as practice before attempting the peaks of the world's most challenging mountains. The point is, it's no place for a casual hiker. On October 28, 2019, around 10 AM, Shiohara goes live. To his viewers' surprise, the snow-covered trails of Mount Fuji appear on their screen, far above the clouds. Initially expressing disbelief, his viewers eventually begin commenting on how beautiful it is, and how lucky they are to be able to enjoy this view few people will ever lay their eyes on. One of his viewers asked Shiohara, "Isn't it lonely up there, all alone?" To which he answered, "It doesn't bother me. I feel more alone back in Tokyo." He would keep chatting with his viewers while he made his way up Mount Fuji, while frequently commenting on how cold it was, and that the ground was slippery. This indicates he was under-equipped for the conditions. He didn't have enough insulation or clothing to keep himself warm, and he didn't have the proper shoes or crampons to dig into the ice. At around 2:30 PM, Shiohara reached the summit. He would stay there for 30 minutes or so, and then began his descent at around 3 PM. As he was making his way down, not far from the summit.
景色ね、景色いいよ。景色、ここんな感じ。最後にしたいね、ちょっと指やべえ。指やべえ。ああ。よし、行くぞ。落ちないようにしないとね。ね、落ちないようにしよう。そう、雪が積もってね、この入るして、ちょっとすごい。貸し切り、そうそう、貸し切りおじさんですよ。で、うわ滑る。滑んな。ここ滑るな。危険、ちょっと危険。ちょっと待って、シャドウが30度ぐらいあるけど、ちょっと待って、滑るな。危ない 危ないな。ちょっと待って、ここ岩あるでしょ。その岩を伝っていこう。この小さい岩。危ない。そう。なかなか危ない、ここ。ここな。滑って下山する。よし。岩を耐える。やばい。よし、行こう。斜面になっちゃってんだ。この道が埋まってね、半分ね。雪で。よし、行こう。行けた。道合ってるのこれ。なんか外埋まってんだけど、雪で。よし、行こう。ここも危ないね。ちょっとね、斜面。滑る。うわ。
Shiohara slips and falls down the face of Mount Fuji, which is pretty much a giant piece of ice littered with rocks. The proper procedure would be to turn face down and dig your ice pick, which you absolutely must have when climbing this kind of mountain, into the ice before you gain momentum. But as you can see for a few frames on this clip, Shiohara didn't have an ice pick. He had what appears to be a regular trekking pole one would use to go hiking in summer. If for some reason you do not have an ice pick, the next thing to do in this situation would be to again immediately turn face down and dig your fingers into the ice as best you can, in a last-ditch attempt to stop your momentum. In contrast, what you do not want to do is lay face up as you would do on a playground slide or a water slide, as you will keep gaining speed if you slide on your back. But this is exactly what Shiohara did. With nothing to brace against, he kept sliding and tumbling until his phone lost signal, which is where the livestream ends. One of his viewers was kind enough to alert the police, but because it was already late in the afternoon, the rescue party would have to be sent the next day. It took 2 days for the rescue team to find Shiohara, or what was left of him. The body was so badly damaged they could only identify him through his belongings. They couldn't even tell the gender from the corpse alone. Now you may be wondering, how can a body suffer such damage from just sliding down a slope? You can actually reach very high speeds sliding down an ice face, with a bunch of sharp rocks along the way to cut you to pieces. And if you hit any bumps, they will launch you into the air, spin you around, and smash you back onto the mountain. Shiohara slid down 1,500 meters, or 5,000 feet like this, until his body came to its final resting place. Before his body was even found, this clip gained immediate attention on the internet, and people were quick to criticize rather than empathize with Shiohara. There is of course the issue with his equipment that I mentioned earlier, but also people pointed out his lack of time management. On this day in late October, the sun was expected to set around 5 p.m. Now, Shiohara began his livestream midway up the mountain at 10 a.m., reached the summit at 2:30 p.m., and began his descent at 3 p.m. Although it is fair to assume it will take less time to descend than ascend, there was no way Shiohara would make it back down the mountain before sunset. It would be pitch black at around 5:30 p.m., and he didn't have the equipment to make an emergency shelter on the mountain, also known as bivouacking. He may have very well frozen to death even if he didn't slip, especially considering he didn't have enough clothing to protect him from the cold. Because of how utterly obvious it was that Shiohara was under-equipped and underprepared, some people speculated that he never intended to come back from Mount Fuji, presumably because he was tired of failing the bar exam year after year, with no hope in sight. Other people would counter that because Shiohara had gone up Mount Fuji several times in summer, he simply had a false sense of security, and also underestimated how severe the conditions would be in October. One last thing I have to point out regarding this case is the so-called voice of a female ghost. Now listen closely. Did you hear it? I guess it may be hard to make out if you don't understand Japanese, but if you could, I believe you will be able to hear the phrase "konaide" in a female voice, moments before Shiohara falls victim to his fatal slip. This means "go away" or "don't come." and could be interpreted as some kind of spirit giving him a final warning. What do you think of the case? Was it an accident caused by Shiohara being underprepared, underestimating the mountain? Or do you think he never intended to come back from Mount Fuji in the first place? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching until the end. Please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video. I'll see you next time.